Welcome back to American Literature. I want to review a sensible process for going about writing the first part of the signature assignment. I'm going to give you the parts of the essay just as a reminder and then give you a short demonstration. So remember that an introduction has a lot of work to do. First, you have to introduce the story or poem and its author. You want to identify the theme of the story that you're focusing on. Now, there can be more than one theme in a story, so you have to be very clear about which one you're taking on. Go beyond easily accessible themes found in publications online like SparkNotes. Everybody writes about those topics, to be perfectly honest, and your paper is going to seem unoriginal if you do the same. If you need to use something like short stories for students, which is very similar to SparkNotes but includes the critical essays at the end, make sure you build upon the ideas, that you don't just summarize other people's thoughts about the works of literature. Identify the theme. You chose it because it stood out to you in some way. Maybe it's important to you. And then present that idea in a thesis statement that makes a claim about the theme within the story or poem and establishes its importance. So that's what the thesis does. It has to establish the importance of the theme in the story or the poem. Okay. It is very important for you to conduct a little bit of background research to develop context. Why is this theme meaningful, particularly in terms of American culture? Provide some historical or social context to explain the significance of your theme, which is a topic. So if you end up writing about, say, lynching, you want to make sure that you understand the period of time that lynching developed, when it was most prevalent, where, without making generalizations or assumptions, you need to use expert sources to really get at the facts and meaningful opinions. Anyone can have an opinion. You want an informed opinion, even if it sort of makes you step back and consider what you thought to be true. Give it a chance, always. The content should be the body of your essay, and it needs to be at least 3 paragraphs in length. Like 2 body paragraphs, that's not college level writing. To manage a work of literature, I recommend dividing it into at least 3 parts, beginning, middle, and end, and discover how the theme unfolds throughout the work so that you can draw some conclusions about it at the end. What happened and why? Who is affected and when? Why should readers register the story or its poem and its theme as important for some aspect of American culture? All right, when you organize this essay, please remember that essays are made up of parts. The parts are called paragraphs. Paragraphs have topic sentences, and the topic sentences all connect to the thesis. The topic sentence is your unifying thought or idea that helps you organize how you discuss a work of literature. Paragraphs should be arranged and connected in some fashion using transitions. I recommend that you approach works of literature in a sensible way. Often students do it chronologically, beginning, middle, and end. If you're writing about a story that has a chronological order, that can work. Some students write about stories in terms of the characters who are involved, but try not to get too much of an isolation going where you don't see the interconnected relationships between characters. All right, don't forget those transitions, and make sure you end your essay with a conclusion that makes a lasting point about the theme, its story, and or the author. So I would say and or the author in the end, only because I do want you to see that authors were intrigued by certain themes. So they wrote about similar issues in American culture, often more than once. Lastly, remember to develop and use your information literacy skills. Demonstrate that you can choose meaningful sources of information and not just dive into some old website that you find through a Google search. You want to use the college library. We are looking for you to do that. Extract ideas from the sources that you can build upon, avoiding echoing the source without using it to see more on your own as a good reader. Develop the thought further. And then lastly, document your sources in the MLA style. I'm going to cover that again in my demonstration of how I might go about responding to this assignment, part 1, on my own, using a poem written by William Stafford called At the Unnational Monument Along the Canadian Border. And I hope you follow along with that. I think it will make your life a little bit easier if you take 5 minutes to watch one process unfold that you can mimic in terms of the steps that you take. Okay, good luck.